Hello everyone, Jeremy Gerard from Mythic Customs here with another one of my short customizing tutorial videos. Today I want to talk about fodder figures, and specifically I want to look at my 5 favorite fodder figures that I use when it comes to Mythic Legions customizing. Now I'm not talking about Mythic Legions fodder figures themselves. Those figures, Mythic Legions, the line itself provides a ton of great fodder. Figures come with extra heads and extra weapons. You can break the figures apart and swap the pieces. So the Mythic Legions line itself is going to provide a ton of great fodder for you to use in your customizing. But outside of the Mythic Legions line, there's a number of other toy lines that are in like the 6-inch, 7-inch scale that are also going to provide parts that you can use for Mythic Legions. Today I want to look at not specific lines, but actually 5 very specific figures that I've used a number of times in my customs that I think will help you create some cool characters as well. So the first figure I want to look at is from the World of Warcraft Heroes of the Storm series. The character's name is Arthas. Now, I don't know much about World of Warcraft. I've never played, so I'm not intimately familiar with the characters, but I've seen this character Arthas referred to as the Lich King before. It's a really cool figure. It was put out by NECA. The line was called Heroes of the Storm. This particular figure includes a number of fodder pieces that you can use. Actually, the figure normally has white hair that comes down from his head, but I've actually already removed that. And that here is what I've used in my custom Dritz figure here. I did a whole segment of my Mythic Conversation show where I actually built this custom Drow Elf Dritz tribute type figure, and that here came right off of this figure. I just sliced it and it's just glued right inside of the figure hood there. Super easy customization that allows you to get a slightly different look on the Mythic Legions hooded characters. Now, this figure, what makes it a great fodder figure is you can use the body pieces a number of other ways. You can see that he's got these big chunky legs with the fur and these big chunky arms here. I've used those when I've made Frostark figures. So here's a Frostark that I did, and I did actually a Mythic Conversation show about this character as well. The arms are actually plugged right in to the Mythic Legion's arms. I just used some heat to remove the arms from this figure, and they end in the same way that the Mythic Legion's lower arms end. There's just a peg that you can insert right into the socket of the arms. Now, the peg's a little big, so you do have to heat the upper arms as well to make them nice and soft and pliable to get those up there. The legs are a little tougher. The way the legs work, you will have to actually cut some of the plastic and drill a hole in it. If you check out my Instagram page, my account there is @Mythic Customs, all one word. I actually did a whole photo tutorial on how to cut the legs, but basically what happens is you just pull those legs out, you pull the pegs out, and there's some back of the legs there that you can just slice to make it a nice flat surface, drill a hole so the peg on the upper leg of the Mythic Legions figures will go in, but you end up with a very different look. You know, one of the things with Mythic Legions is because they all use a limited number of hands and feet options, doing something like this will provide you with a little bit of variety in your customizing. Additionally on this figure, these pauldrons come off. I've used these armor pauldrons before. I've used the cape before. I've even used the belt, and he has a sword as well that makes a really cool weapon. So this one figure is going to give you not only that here, the arms and the legs, the shoulder pauldrons, the belt, the cape, and the sword. Pound for pound, this is one of the most valuable figures, most bang for your buck type fodder figures I think you can use in Mythic Legions customizing. There are bootlegs of this. I personally try to always buy the original version, but sometimes it's hard to tell which one you're getting, especially if you're buying it loose. Obviously, if you're buying it loose from China off eBay, there's a good chance that's probably one of the bootleg versions. I'm sure I have some of the bootlegs. I'm sure I've stumbled into them. I can't tell the difference in quality. My decision to try to always buy the original ones is more just an ethical decision on my own part. You'll have to make that decision for yourself, but either figure you buy, I think will fuel your customs and be really, really great. The second figure I'm going to look at is from the old Toy Biz Lord of the Rings line. So Toy Biz Lord of the Rings figures are ones that I use in customizing Mythic Legions all the time. Probably my favorite line to use. The weapons are good. Absolutely, the capes and the skirt pieces, all of those type of elements of the figures work really, really well to change up some of your Mythic Legions figures. And my favorite one to use, he's actually broken apart because I've already started customizing him, is this character here. This is Lurtz. So this is one of the Uruk-hai figures. This is the kind of leader of the Uruk-hai tribe that Saruman sends out in Fellowship of the Ring. This is actually the archer that ends up killing Boromir. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen or read Lord of the Rings. So this figure Lurtz is one that I like a lot. And I said I've already broken him apart. You just separate these figures. A lot of these Lord of the Rings figures work the same way. If you separate them at the waist, if they have one of these rubbery skirt pieces, it's generally just one piece that's on top of a little peg that's on the pelvis. And by removing that piece, you can then use it on other figures. So this orc archer that I made, this actually uses both the bow and actually uses the quiver as well. The quiver here, the bow, and this lower skirt and belt piece all came from that Lurtz figure. And really all I had to do once I broke Lurtz was I separated the Mythic Legions figure at the waist so I could reveal the peg, and that waist piece, this loin piece, just slips right on top of that Mythic Legions pelvis. Super easy way, 5-second customization that allows you to add some variety to your Mythic Legions. Additionally, on Lurtz, I did a whole one of these short tutorial videos about swapping out feet on Mythic Legions figures, and I mentioned in that video that Lord of the Rings figures can be modified and used to give your Mythic Legions some new feet. Lurtz comes with a great pair of feet. They're almost like kind of like armored sandal type feet. I love these. They look great on dwarves and orcs in my opinion. Besides that, he's also got a bit of a ponytail. You could always pull that ponytail off and use that if you want to add a ponytail to one of your characters. I've done that when I've made like genies. When I turn like Mythic Legions orc heads into djinn type characters, I like them to have a ponytail. This is a ponytail you could use there. Also, his chest armor, it's like a rubbery type chest armor. You can separate that. You can put that right over the torso of a Mythic Legions figure to change up the armor look on a Mythic Legions figure as well. These leg armor pieces do come off as well. I've personally never used them. I've got a couple of them in my fodder bins. I haven't found a use for them yet. But once again, you can see this one figure, ton of customization options here. Now these figures, obviously Lord of the Rings figures, this Lurtz figure, I think this one might have come in a 2-pack probably with Boromir. This came out years and years ago, probably 20 years ago at this point. This is the kind of thing you're going to probably find on eBay or at toy shows. The price you're going to pay for this one definitely depends. If you buy them individually, you're probably going to pay a little bit more than if you buy a big lot of Lord of the Rings figures and use them all as fodder. But definitely if you find this figure, it's a worthwhile pickup from a fodder standpoint. Lots of pieces you can use there. Next thing we'll look at is the articulated icon samurais. So I did a whole video just about these figures a few weeks ago, but they're worth mentioning here based on this topic because I do find them very useful. Now, unlike the Arthas in the Lurtz figure that you get a lot of different parts that you can use across maybe a couple different customs, I really find these figures, they're good for kind of one thing, to turn the 2.0 style Mythic Legions figures into samurai. There's a couple different samurais you can get. This one, Fumetsu, the Undying Ronin, is probably my favorite. It's got the dark armor. I like this a lot. If you pull off the armor, there's like a ninja underneath it that you can just have a ninja for your collection. But it looks great. I have it here on a goblin, on a Thwick body. I think it looks great on these 2.0 style figures. I've put it on 2.0 elves, shadow elves, you name it. I mean, goblins, obviously, knight figures, female characters, even the 2.0 style skeleton. It really works well on all of those style figures to transform them into a bit of a samurai. So not valuable from the standpoint of that one figure is going to fuel a bunch of different creations, but I think that that one figure is going to allow you, or that samurai style figure is going to allow you to create a really cool Mythic Legions samurai. So the next one I'm going to talk about, number 4, is from a line called WWE Create a Superstar. Now, I'm not a wrestling fan, so I don't know much about wrestling figures, but I do know they came out with a line a number of years ago called Create a Superstar, that the whole play value behind the line was you could pop the pieces apart and mix and match pieces. I mean, it really was a line made to be customized. And pieces between figures could be moved, heads and helmets and arms and weapons and armor and so forth. All of those figures have some value, some more than others, but the one that I really, really like a lot was a character called Triple H. Now, I said I don't know wrestling. I am familiar with who the character of Triple H is, and the set that they did, it's kind of a deluxe set. It's a Barbarian set, Triple H Barbarian Pack, they call it. I had gotten a bunch of them on Amazon. At the time, I got them, probably a year and a half ago. They were really cheap. I probably paid like $10, $15 for them. I think they retailed for closer to like $30. I've seen them lately running between $20 and $30. A lot of cool parts you're going to find in that set, including this shield. This shield is why a bunch of people bought it originally. Now, I've painted the shield. It's normally like an orangish color, actually. But when Mythic Legions 1.0 first came out, a lot of people kind of created their Dungeons and Dragons War Duke type tributes. This is mine. And this one's gone through an evolution. Originally, it used like an Atlas figure and a Barbarian builder head. Now this uses a Rhaegar head that looks a little bit closer color-wise to War Duke. But War Duke, that old figure from LJN, he had a shield that had a skull on it. Not exactly this kind of skull. It's more like a beast skull. But this definitely is a nice substitute for that War Duke shield. And that comes with that set. Another piece you may have seen a lot of Mythic Legions customizers use and not know where it came from, in part because other people have made casts of this and sold it, is this head here. So this kind of cool skull armored knight helmet head, that actually came originally in that Triple H WWE Create a Superstar pack. Now, it does not fit automatically on a Mythic Legion's head. You do have to Dremel that head to widen the hole there. If you don't know how to do that, check my videos, my past videos. I did a whole video just about Dremeling heads. But that's a cool head. That part comes with that as well. Other pieces, it's got this great belt piece that I've seen a lot of people use on Mythic Legions. And it also comes with a pair of arms. So I said that the Create a Superstar line, the limbs and the arms and so forth, they were meant to pop out and customize. Well, one of the cool things is they actually fit on Mythic Legions. So this is the Mythic Legions torso. This actually comes from a Torgan Redfin. And this arm just plugs right in. Now the skin tones are going to be off a little bit. They're not going to be the exact same skin tone, but you can see that they're actually not that far apart, and they provide some cool arms. Now, all of the Create a Superstar line's arms fit in Mythic Legion's torsos. And there's some really, really cool ones. There's some that have no gauntlets at all. I know a number of people have wished that there were Mythic Legion's body parts that had bare hands and, bare forearms. These are a good substitution. This one has a little bit of armor on the forearm. There are some other ones that have none of that at all. But these arms, this specific arm does come in that Triple H pack as well, in addition to the figure itself. I've seen some people use Triple H figures, or I should say WWE figures, Barbarian style figures, to create Mythic Legions customs. Never been something I've been super into, because I tend to like to try to stay with Mythic Legions figures whenever possible, but I've seen some great customs with it, and that set will give you those as well. The last figure, number 5, that I want to look at is from the Star Wars Black Series. This is the Kylo Ren figure from the first of the new movies, The Force Awakens. So there were two Kylo Rens that came out in that movie. The first one was fully helmeted. That obviously was released before the movie came out. And then once the movie came out and we saw, you know, the character with his helmet off, and we saw the actor of Adam Driver, they released this version that has no helmet on the figure. I actually like this one better. And because of one of the parts, he's got like a plastic, he's got a soft goods robe, but he's got a plastic kind of robe around his neck, a plastic scarf type piece. The original version with the mask, that piece doesn't have as much texture in it. This re-release has more texture. I happen to like this one better, but either one of them are pretty cool. This figure is going to give you a few different pieces. I just mentioned that scarf piece. I love that piece. It seems to complete so many customs for me. If I'm creating a thief or something, or a gypsy, any kind of character that you want them just to be wearing maybe something around their neck, even if they have a hood and you don't want it to be a full cape, you just want it to be a hood with this type of scarf piece, that looks really, really cool. It's also got the soft goods robe, which works really, really well on Mythic Legions. You can put it right on a 2.0 figure. I've even kind of cut it and sliced it up the middle and used it more as like a cape on some of the 1.0 style figures. It works really, really well. Additionally, the figure underneath is usable too. So I took that figure and I took one of the Elf Ranger heads. I popped the head out of that hood, which again, there's a video that I did that shows how to do that. And with that head out, I was able to paint that hood totally black and then put the head back in there. I find it easier to paint the hoods on Mythic Legions figures when the heads are popped out. But I put that on top of that Kylo Ren body. It does use the scarf piece, but it doesn't use the soft goods robe. And I created a cool like thief character. Now he's got some other pieces here. He's got a couple Mythic Legions belts and knives. He's got a sword from a Spawn figure. Couple different things to create the character, but the base figure is that Kylo Ren. And it actually does look really well with Mythic Legions. I just said I try to use Mythic Legions figures in Mythic Legions Customs because I wanted this to be kind of a really stealthy human thief type character. The smaller frame that the Black Series figures have actually worked really, really well there. And like I said, there are some other pieces that you can use for that figure as well. If you actually break it apart, the lower skirt type piece is something that you can use. If you want to put that underneath some Mythic Legions armor, it gives the Mythic Legions figure a really different look, like from the waist down. So those are my 5 favorite figures, and they represent some lines that I really like. Like we talked about WWE Create a Superstar, Lord of the Rings. Those are 2 lines that I use extensively in my customs. Besides that articulated icon samurai, I've used the other samurais to make a number of my Mythic Shoguns. These lines are very, very valuable, but from these lines, these are my favorites. Arthas from the Warcraft Heroes of the Storm line, Lurtz from the old Toy Biz Lord of the Rings line, Fumetsu the Undying Ronin from Articulated Icons. We looked at the Triple H WWE Create a Superstar Barbarian pack, and finally Kylo Ren from the original Force Awakens movie from the Black Series set. Those are my 5 picks. Hunt them down. You can find them on eBay. You can find them at toy shows. Can't wait to see what you make with these cool parts and other stuff. Thanks for checking it out.